החלק השלישי בהשגת רוח הקודש. How do you get ruach hakodesh? So I think we were up to Ayin Zayin actually.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Started.
No.
Yes.
No.
Can we still review?
Start from the beginning of Ayin Vav. Okay. Quickly.
Yes, pictures speak 1,000 words.
I know, but I remember doing this.
Yeah, we did do it. We started.
My memory speaks also 1,000 words.
Maybe have you there. I don't know, but it says I know.
All right, let's start.
You already had.
I think we did that already.
Don't argue.
Yeah, we did it.
We did Ayin Vav.
Well, let's get quickly.
So, we'll review.
Hine, behold, Hamatzil Elyon, the Creator, the one and only Creator. Asher he'etzil kol ha'olamot, that created all the worlds. Nikra Ein Sof, he is the infinite one. He doesn't have a name. Ve'ein bo shum timuna, lo b'shem, lo be'od, v'il b'kotzei. He doesn't have any kind of representation. You can't represent the one true God in any way. Not in the name. He doesn't have a name. His name is created. He created his name. What are his names? First, he says, "Afilo ha'hirhur asur bo." You can't think of the Ein Sof, because if a human mind, when he thinks of something,
It's crazy.
it turns into an image.
God doesn't have an image.
You understand?
How do you not think about it?
When you think of Hashem, he's gonna say, first of all, you have to think of his name. That's how he wants to be represented, by his name.
But then we
Yeah.
associate it with an image.
Those images are letters.
Ein Zayin we are.
I know we're not in Zen.
Yeah, aha.
Yeah, we're reviewing real quick.
Here in the middle.
Ve'he'etzil hamisha olamot, so the Hashem Yitbarach created 5 worlds. Are you with me?
Is this the Briah?
Atzilut b'yad but Ak first. Ze neshama lazeh, ze neshama is the worlds work that each world is the God of the world below it. You get it?
Yeah.
So Ak is the creator of Atzilut. Atzilut is the creator of Bria. Bria is the creator of Yitzira. Yitzira is Asiya. This is where the source of the mitzvah of Kibud Av Va'em comes from. Of course, he has a creator, the Ein Sof himself. The Ein Sof is the neshama of Ak, but the Ak does not comprehend the Ein Sof. Okay? Think of the world of Ak and Atzilut as levushim. They're just clothing. They're just there to hide Hashem's presence. Once you get to Beriah, then we start to see the levushim turn into, they're so far from the Ein Sof, then they start turning into angels. You get it? And then they start turning into souls, into Yetzaharas. The farther you get from the Ein Sof, the more there is this connection, and things start to seem as if they're separate from him. The closer we get to the Ein Sof, the more you start to see that we're really just the same. It's Enod Milvado.
We basically far away.
We're the farthest, right? And our job is through the Torah to get to the middle. And where's the middle point? Yerushalayim shel Zahar. That's the middle point. That's the midpoint. Yeah. So that means the middle point. That means.
So we have to go
Out of the
over it.
5 worlds, it's the middle.
Yeah, it's the midpoint. The Tzimtzum happened in Yerushalayim. That means when the Kohen Gadol would reach Yerushalayim on Yom Kippur, when he would reach that spot, on Yom Kippur only it worked. When he brought the Ketoret, at that moment he would reach the most truest revelation that any human being could ever reach.
The midpoint,
Yeah.
we're not at the highest point.
Huh?
We're not at the end of the point.
There is no high and low by Hashem.
But you say middle.
The middle is only because it's in relationship to how far we are from Him. Understand?
It's a direct.
So there's no higher or
But
lower.
I thought Yerushalayim is the point.
No, Kodesh HaKodashim is the midpoint.
Midpoint.
How are you confused? You did the first page of Otzrot Hayim, remember? Hashem made that tzimtzum. It was in a circular. The mashal it was a circle. Why is the mashal a circle? Remember?
Well, because that's the worlds. We're circular.
I know we're in the circular planets, but why is the mashal in a circle? How come Hashem didn't make the tzimtzum, the mashal?
Because there's
Mashal
no
in a
end,
square.
No end, no beginning.
So what? Also in a square, I could say it's a square and it keeps on going.
It's infinite.
Because a circle, everything is in the picture of the circle, everything is symmetrically equal
Yeah.
From the center.
from the center.
Or the
Right?
pi, yeah, the pi. 3.4.
Exactly.
The radius pi.
So therefore, the mashal is a midpoint. There's no midpoint by the Ein Sof. There's no middle or up, high,
That's
low.
where all it started.
Right. If you start doing middle, high, low, midpoint, and you start to chas v'shalom, you're making a boundary to him. And that's JC.
Yeah.
We don't want this garbage. So the Ak. So the first world that we can start talking about is Ak. It's the Ak is the kotz of the Yod of Hashem's name. It's the tip.
The concept.
Some say it's the bottom tip. Some say it's the
Upper.
upper tip.
So if you
To be successful in life is to be humble,
so
to be hidden.
That's the humble, right? Area?
That's the humble. Yeah, that's
That's
the.
like
That's the greatest midah, humbleness. The next one, and the Geonim called it tzachtzachot. Okay, tzachtzachot. Sheni atzilut, shlishi beriah, revi'i yetzirah, chamishi asiyah. Ve'elu hamisha olamot nikreu havaya achad. Basically, all these 5 worlds are connected to the 4 letters of God's name. Because the kotz, the tip, is ak of yud. The yud itself is atzilut. So from here we see the deep connection between atzilut and ak. Because ak itself is revealed of the yud. So that means that yud and the kotz is right. That's why when God told Shlomo HaMelech, God told the yud, God told the yud, why are you taking me out of Sarai's name? So God said, what did the Midrash say? Even if you bring 1,000 Shlomo HaMelech, so the smartest that will ever connect to me, it won't even take your tip out. Wow, what's the meaning of that Midrash? That even my smallest revelation in the Yud, even the greatest neshamot can never even reach the level of Ak. That means Shlomo never reached the level of Ak, which is the tip. Which is the tip. It's the tip of the Yud.
All his wisdom.
All right, with all of his wisdom. And what didn't he reach? Para Aduma, which is this week's parasha. Vayod Atzilut, Hey is Bria, Vav is Yitzirah, Hey, the last Hey is Asiyah. ולפי שאק לרוב העלמו אין לו תמונת אות, אלא קוצו של יוד. Since Ak, because he's so hidden, he doesn't even have a picture of a letter. He just has the kotz of the yod. Ki ha'en sof, because the en sof doesn't even have a kotz of the yod. It's not. You cannot compare him in any tangible, revealed thing. You can never. You can't. That's why we can never dive into the en sof directly. We have to dive into him through his name. That Hashem wants us to talk to us through his name. We have to call him Amonai. What are we going to call him? What can we tell him? We can't tell him anything. So Hashem says, call me Amonai, call me the master. I want to be revealed in that way, as the master. You could call him Havaya, Yudke Vavke. What does that mean? The being. He's just the only being.
But we translate Amonai.
We say Amonai. But when Mashiach comes, or in Techiyat HaMetim Be'ezrat Hashem, we're gonna say his name. Yudke Vavke.
The way it's pronounced, we're gonna say it?
Yeah. Maybe not in Mashiach's time, but for sure in Techiyat HaMetim.
Why are we not doing the other 72? So other 72.
He doesn't want to be talked to in that name. He wants you to use those names to make miracles.
All 7.
Those 72, yeah.
But Techiyat HaMetim wouldn't happen before Mashiach.
It won't happen before Mashiach. After, for sure, when we pass away, we speak to Hashem in His name, in the more revealed, in the more esoteric. Right, it's Olam Ha'emet, B'diuk. There's no Averot over there. When we learn Torah with Hashem over there, we speak to Him in Yudke Vavke. We don't speak to Him in Amonai.
You will get there.
Huh?
If we get
Why not? You're gonna get there.
After Shabbat class with your father.
Yeah, we're not getting there soon.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, you
So you're gonna get there, you're saying. ולכן איננו מזכירים עולם אלא 4 עולמות אביה. So we only mention the 4 worlds of Abiyah, right? Which is Yud, K, Vav, K. Kiem otiyot gemurot, because they are complete letters, and 4 of them together are called Yud K Vav K Od. Now that's the general scope. Now it gets split even more. Every world of Abiyah is broken into 9 levels. Vehem Chochma Ubina, which is 2. Veshesh Ketzavot, and 6 sides, which is Chesed, Givurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, and all of them are 6 sides of the Tiferet. That means you have Chochma and Binah, and 6 that come out of Tiferet. So this is the Tiferet, and 6 things that come out of it. What are the 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, the Brit. That's 5.
That's fine.
Tiferet itself is 6. Is the 6, and then we have the 9th is the Malchut. So we have 4, and every one of the 4 is split into 9. The more we split, the farther we get away from Hashem.
And the more revealed it is.
But that's the paradox. The more we split it, the more we reveal. So Hashem makes the world, what He does is to reveal, you gotta take 2 opposites and understand them. That's the meaning of the first mitzvah of getting married. So Hashem says, you're never gonna understand me until you get married. And even when you're married, you're never gonna understand me until you have kids. And once you have kids, it's not enough to have 1. You have to have 2. And that's not enough. Each one of them has to have 1. And then we get that mitzvah down.
It's a boy and a girl.
And then, and each one of a boy and girl has to have either a boy or a girl, right? To fulfill mitzvah priyariyah. And then once you have that, there's other ways to get me. Like what? Now you got to give your kid a brit milah. That's another way of understanding me. And then after that, you got to give tzedakah. That's another way of understanding me. All these 613 ways are basically what?
Revealing God.
They're just different ways of revealing Hashem. And there are 600, and that's why we have to cry that we don't have a Beit HaMikdash. Because we're missing 90% of
How's
it.
the Averot revealing him, Rabbi?
The Averot reveal Him when we don't do it. When we don't do them.
When you do
When you do the Averah, you're concealing Him.
You're putting like a blanket on the thing, on the
But then the
lamp.
punishment.
Yeah,
is-
And exactly. And when you get the shateh,
Why me, God?
yeah, it's not why me. That's the revealment. That means you were supposed to do a job. You have to think of it as you're in this world to complete a mission. That's all it
If
is.
you don't do it voluntarily, you're gonna get shut down.
It's never voluntary.
First
Because
of all, you have
you're
to-
not really a creation. You think you're separate from Hashem. But really, en od milvado. There's nothing but Hashem. You're only going to start to reveal that when Mashiach comes. Why? Because when Mashiach comes, there's no more time. You did an Averah,
Go.
Shateh. Mitzvah, reward.
why
Won't
would
the
you do-
Satan be dead when Mashiach
It's
comes?
no, you're going to get a new Satan.
What does that mean?
This
Your
is-
Yetzer Hara, right? Your Yetzer Hatov right now will be your new Satan. And you're going to get a new Yetzer Hatov. A super Yetzer Hatov. You get it? That's why work on your Yetzer Hatov right now. Strengthen him.
Stronger he gets,
The stronger he is, the less you will want to do Averot when Mashiach comes. There will be Averot too, obviously. The prophet Jeremiah says. He says in chapter 31, he says in the future people will die. But everyone will die because of his, everyone for himself. That's it. No more monkey business. Okay? So all the 4 olamot are broken into 9 sefirot. Those are the 9 sefirot. Ki elu ha'arba nikra arba yesodot. And these 4 worlds are actually the 4 sources to the 4 elements. Air, fire, water, and wind. Shem arba. They are the 4 olam. And the astrology is basically the revelation of the 4 worlds when they get to Asiyah. You get it?
That's the watered down version, right?
It's like exactly. The more you come down, the more watered down it gets. Until, what do you get?
Earth.
You. Okay? But that's the secret. In you, you have the power to reach to the top, which is when a Navi. Alright? A Navi. It's a lot of work, yeah.
Wait, so another.
You know, you have to think about it like this. The more we're in a state of technology and this and that, the farther it's possible, the harder it is to get to that level. In those times, it was so much easier. you had a farm and you had a desert and you had a field. You would walk around and he would do it all day. You would work with sheep. You would see Hashem's nature all the time. Even talk 100 years ago in Russia and this, that. People would work in nature. Till today, it's like
years
that.
ago, we went to Ukraine.
It's like we went back in time.
They became flat.
Exactly.
With the forces. You're right there.
It was like we went back in time.
It's great.
You understand? It's much easier to find Hashem in those places. You understand? Continuing. Shem arba olamot abiyah, atzlut be'ez hasiyah, v'nechlakim v'tisha sefirot, and are broken into 9 sefirot. Amnam, kotzor shel yud hu ak. The kotz of the yod is a separate world that we don't talk about. Ak. Ha'olam ha'chamishi, ha'elyon, it's the highest world. Ha'kolel kulam. Ubo levado shoresh ha'arba yisodot shem arba olamot. And he is the root of all the 4 elements. So, what is the root of the 4 elements? We don't know what it is. We know fire, water, air, and earth. We don't know what's the root of them. Ramban says that the Greeks knew what it was. They called it the Yuli. The Yuli. The Yuli. No, it's a Greek word. The Yuli.
Greeks knew and we didn't know.
The Greeks called it the Yuli. I mean, the Greeks in their philosophy, they said, well, there has to be a source to those 4 Yesodot. And they said that there's an element that can change into one of the 4 elements. We have this in science today. What is it? They're working with it. They're trying to cure cancer with it and all this stuff. Stem cells. Stem cells. Stem cells is kind of like the Yuli. They're trying to turn these cells that don't have a certain conduit, they want to change it into certain thing.
It's a blank piece of paper. You could
All right, you could do it. That's a Yuli. That's what the Yuli is. All right, that's the 5th element. Okay, that would be Ak. V'nimtza ki le'olam lo yesh yoter me'arba yisod bilvad. So that means forever there's only 4 yisodot, 4 worlds. We only work with 4 worlds. That's it. Okay. Klal ha'oleh. What's the rule? Ki ha'en sof eno nichlal b'shum cheshbon. God does not have a number.
infinite.
The infinite, that means the creator, without his levushim, doesn't have a number, doesn't have a name, doesn't have anything. Image for sure not. V'lo re'item kol temuna, Hashem says, we didn't see nothing. Watch it. Because we did see something over there. Hashem said, you didn't see me, you saw my levushim. You perceived me as a teacher. And the Midrash says they perceived God in Har Sinai as an old man who taught them Torah. Hashem said, you didn't see me. That wasn't me. That was Keter. You saw Keter.
Saw an image?
They saw like an old man teaching them Torah. So Midrash says, watch it. If you're gonna say I'm that, you're kofer biikar.
That's very easy.
Hashem said, yeah. So
Because we're going to shoot like this.
right. So they it's like they perceived Hashem as a teacher. And
So it was just
on Yam Suf
It was just like
on Yam Suf they perceived God as a warrior. So Hashem said, you didn't see me. You saw my midot. You saw that, but it's not really his attributes. It's attributes that he decides he wants to reveal himself in. I mean, Hashem is not a Rahman. Really, God is not merciful. Because if you say he's merciful, he's not angry. If you say he's not angry, then he's not complete. Because something that's complete has all the midot all the time, all together at the same moment. So Hashem says, therefore, you're finite. I will reveal myself sometimes like this, sometimes like that, but I'm none of these things. You should know that. Therefore, if you see me, you're not seeing me. You're seeing Keter, you're seeing Chesed, you're seeing Gvura, you're seeing Tiferet. You're not seeing me. You're seeing the Sfirot.
basically
It's
pressing
not
the body
seeing
the way
a
he
part of
wanted.
him then?
No, he doesn't have a part. He's showing himself through, let's call it an aspaklaria.
I love
Yeah.
this.
I'm saying, so what's that coming to show you?
It's coming to show us that we have to. So that's basically a conduit. These things are conduits to reach him through that.
It's just a prism.
Understand?
It's like looking through.
But we're never allowed to say that Hashem is Chesed. That was the first mistake of Enosh, of the time of Enosh. What did they say? They said, "Va'az yuchal likro b'shem Hashem." Then they started calling in God's name. What's the problem with that? The first of the Avodah Zarah. What do they start to say? They start to call in God's name. It's very good. That's what we're doing all day. They started to say that Hashem is Chesed. Hashem is Gvura. Hashem is Tiferet. Hashem said, you're not worshipping me, you're worshipping my midot. Don't do that, that's kfirah. You never saw a tmuna. You didn't see a letter. You didn't see an image. You saw nothing. You just saw a midah. Understand?
It's not a worshiping the attributes.
Right. You're not allowed to do that.
So here's a question. When do you When will he reveal himself?
I don't think he
No,
would.
Not even in Mashiach's
when?
He
time.
would.
Like when?
It's impossible. As long as you think you're separate than him,
Yeah.
you can never truly understand that he is
But
the
when-
only being. Understanding
die-
Hashem as just Hashem the Ein Sof would be basically understanding that we don't exist.
But when you die, you see, you understand.
The nature-
You understanding
No,
you understanding when the person passes away, he perceives the sphirot. That's it.
Still this feeling?
Yeah, only.
You don't see the guy.
Well, you think you jump right away to the highest level? First of all, the person passes away. He gets to, if he's lucky.
Okay.
If he's lucky. Wait, if he's lucky. He gets to Gan Eden HaTachton. And now Gan Eden HaTachton, there is Gan and Eden.
Hold on.
Okay? If you're lucky, you get to Gan Eden HaTachton. You know what Gan Eden HaTachton is? It's Bina Da'asiyah.
The law.
You have Yitzirah, Biri'ah, Atzilut, from Atzilut to Ak. You have a long time.
How do you walk?
They test you every time. You want to go up, by the way. Once you get there, you want to go to the highest, you want to go higher.
How do they test you?
So they're like, so before when your person passes away, they're like, okay, Gabriel, he kept Shabbat. How many Shabbats he kept? How many this? To get to Gan Eden, HaTachton, you have to at least have no karetz. You understand? Once you have no karetz, you understand? And then they allow you to Gan Eden HaTachton. Then to get to Gan Eden HaElyon, they'll be like, once you get to Gan Eden what was it? Paint knife. Once you get to Gan Eden HaElyon, they think of you like this. Okay, Gabriel, what were you thinking while you were wearing tefillin? They start to check you even cleaner. And don't think you want to stay in the bottom, because you don't want to stay in the bottom. Once you get to that part, you want to go higher. You understand? So once you're going to get higher, they're like, okay, you want to go higher? They check you. What were you thinking while you were wearing tefillin today? Did you miss Kriyat Shema? What were you, I don't know, let's say,
So for example,
did you covet? You know, like things already, how are you in the Shmirat Ha'inai?
Okay, you
Already,
get
you get to the
past.
Gan Eden HaElyon in Bina. Now you want to get to Malchut Atzilut. They say, now you have to be clean. You have to be super duper clean.
So
Then
if
they
you're
say
not
to you,
done,
we can't let you in here. Go back. I'm going to do Averot again. No, now that you're very clean, we're going to give you special Siyata Deshmaya. Siyata Deshmaya? I don't want to go back there, you say. I don't want to come back. You don't have a choice, because actually you have to get to the highest level, and then they bring you back down. But you only come back down with the pieces that you didn't fix yet. So let's say you missed Pidyon Petar Chamor. You understand? Let's say you missed that
Well,
one.
at least
So
they
you
have
can
to
come
provide
back
you
to a
the
Gilgul just to do Pidyon Petar Chamor.
Can they
Don't
tell
be
you to
a
provide
chamor.
better chamor before you live?
They will provide it to you.
What about
It's
just
not like you look for yourself. You gotta probably.
If you thought about it, it's in your head, that
bad.
means you have to do it. Alright. Ve'od.
Does learning about better chamor counts?
No, because you could actually do it.
That's the thing.
No,
You
it's
can't
like-
Yes. ואחר כך עולמות בתחילה. So the worlds to begin with, they were just one world. והוא שם אחד של הוויה. They were just one הוויה. Then they were broken down לארבע יסודות. זולת השורש שלהם שהוא אק, קוצו של יוד, והוא ספירה עשירית. So Ak is the 10th sphere, it's the Keter. הנקרא Keter. והארבע יסודות נחלקו לתשע ספירות כנזכרנו. Like we said, the four elements broke down to 9 sphirot. Each one is 9 sphirot. Okay? So 9 times 4 is how much?
36.
36. What government we have in Israel right now? The 36th government. Since the creation of the state of Israel. We hope we're at the end of the Era Rab.
What's a
Want to hear something crazy? It says in this week's parasha, Moshe fights Og. Og. So he fights Og, and he's afraid of Og. He's huge. He's like 10 stories tall.
Close.
So Hashem tells Moshe, don't be afraid of him. Al tira oto. Ki bi'adcha natati oto. Og is 73. How many years is the state of Israel? 73.
So who is old?
Og is the Erev Rav.
Shin Pei Aleph.
Is old. Another crazy thing I'll tell you. This
Why
year we're 73 years, right? But we're in the 74th year, right? When did the 45 people die? On whose day? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Ari HaKadosh teaches us on the day of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Why do we celebrate it? Because the name of Elohim gets sweetened that day. How? Take the letters of Elohim, the letters before it. So Aleph, what's before Aleph?
Does it go back to Tav?
No, it doesn't, there's nothing before it. Aleph, stays Aleph. What's before Lamed? Chaf. Chaf. Aleph, Chaf. What's before Hey? Dalet. What's before Yud? Tet. What's before Mem Sofit? Nothing, it's a Sofit. Nothing before, nothing after. It's a Sofit, it's like an Aleph. So Aleph, Chaf, Dalet, Tet, Mem. What's the Gematria? 74. We're in the 74th year of the state of Israel when the 45 people died in the Kever of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
What does that mean?
It means that we might get close. When you say Somech Nofelim, you have to have that kavanah. Aleph, Chav, Dalet, Tet, Mem. Also, when you pick up your cup of Kiddush, you have to have kavanah of Aleph, Chav, Dalet, Tet,
Can you
Mem.
write this or no?
Yeah, you could. It's not a name that's... It's irreversible, erasable.
So I can write it down and look at it.
Yeah, of course. It's in every Sidur of the Mekubalim. When you say that, it's Akadat, Aleph, Chav, Dalet, Tet, Mem. You have to have kavanah. Those are your 5 fingers when you hold a cup of Kiddush. And the cup of Kiddush itself is kos. Kos is how much? Chaf is how much? 20. Vav is how much? 26. Samech? 86 Elokim. So the Elokim is on the Akadat. You're having to be matik the kos, and the yain itself is the gvura itself. The yain is 70. Okay, it's the gvurot themselves. Gvurot reach the gematria of 72. I'm not going to tell you how. It's a bit murkav, and that's the kavanah for that. But just when you're picking up the kos kiddush, and then you have the
There's a
thing.
point
Yeah.
where you're gonna forget to drink the wine.
You want to reach Malchut Atzilut?
Maybe.
Maybe, okay. ואחר כך נכללים בשתי חלוקות. After we split the worlds into 9 and 4, they split into 2 separate parts, which is the creator and the creations. This is what's written in Pirkei of Rabbi Eliezer. עד שלא נברא העולם, from the time the world was created, till the world wasn't created, רצונו לומר העולם הזה, this world, היה הוא, he, ושמו אחד, and his name was one. That means his name is separate than him. He and his name was one. כי האין סוף נקרא הוא, אין סוף is the who. והנצלים, we are all in his name. That means we all have a piece in Yud, K, Vav, K. We don't know. You could be from the Yud, you could be from the Hey, you could be from the Vav, you could be from the Hey.
Each of the letters, like what you mentioned.
Right, so Yud is Atzilut, Hey is Beria, Vav Yitzira. The higher you are up in the name, the more Mezuchach your Neshama is.
What is that?
The more Mezuchach, purified your soul is, but the more work you have to do. So a person is from the last Hey, Hashem didn't send him on this world to be a Rav Gadol Be'Yisrael, you know. A person is from the Yud, he's supposed to be already Chacham Gadol. Okay? I wish. And trust me, I'm nothing. Imagine what a real one is. You know, you could be a Yud of the Hey, a Hey of the Hey, a Vav of the Hey, because each one is broken into 9.
Yeah.
So it says, כי האין סוף נקרא, okay, הכל אחד, כי הייתה השלהבת גנוזה בגחלת. Think of it like this. You have a coal. You don't see the fire yet in the coal. But the fire really is in the coal. That's how all the creations were really in God. But you don't see them. They're not there. But their powers are there. But not as separate entities. As one entity. That's why you don't see the fire. You'll break the coal into 2 or 3. It's a mashal. You'll just see a coal. But yet the coal has the power to bring
Big fire.
sparks and fire. You understand? That's the mashal to compare how we were all in the Ein Sof. Okay? Last paragraph, and we'll call it a night. We understand that all the worlds, Daniel, are in Yud K, Vav K. Hanechleket la'arba yisodot, which are 4 yisodot, 4 elements, 4 worlds, and 10 sefirot. And so too, kol olam mehem nifrat al derech zeh. Every world is split into this. That means there are thousands of these kind of worlds. It's not just 1, 4, and each one is 10. There's thousands and thousands and thousands, and until they're not all fixed or revealed, let's call it, Mashiach will not come. What's the best way to reveal them?
Lots of babies.
I taught you guys something.
We like that.
Only babies. Babies are the most.
Other worlds also have people?
Huh?
Other worlds.
No. Because a human is basically just a materialized vessel.
What about
Understand? There's no point of aliens.
Why the Zohar says there's aliens?
Where does Zohar says that?
They're giant.
Zohar says there are beings in this world that are in different planes, but not in the what? Okay, there's let's think about it. There are aliens on a different planet, and then what? They have a different Torah. They have the Torah too.
No,
What is their point? What do they serve?
They're like the defense.
And
Nothing like humans.
it's only a human. There are humans, and then there's Jews. I want to tell you something. Think about it for 1 second. In all the worlds, in the beginning, about 80 years ago, they said you only need 2 things to sustain life on a different planet: water and air. Today, I think the number is like 130. They keep on trying to find something, and they keep on picking up the fact like there's so many more components. I'll give you an example. Why is Earth the 3rd planet in the solar system? Do you know between Earth and then there's Mars, and what's between Mars and the bigger planets, the jovial planets?
There's a ring.
There's an asteroid belt. What causes those asteroids not to hit Earth and cause us to blow up into smithereens? Jupiter. That means if you don't have a planet the size of Jupiter in the right place to take the gravity of those asteroids, keep them all in the right spot all the time, you know what we would be today?
Pancakes.
We would be pancakes.
So why
So let's look at all the millions of solar systems. There isn't one planet that has such a star in the right place in the right time to suck in all those
Why do we need
things.
those planets to begin with?
All those planets are sphirot. They're all sphirot. You understand? We have 7 planets in the solar system, not 9.
8, no?
We have 7.
No, there was one dwarf.
They thought Pluto was a planet, and they saying now already a long time they say it's just a dead star.
There's one dwarf.
You understand?
So what, it stops at Saturn?
It stops
There's
at
no
Saturn. There's no Uranus, Neptune, and Shabbatai is the last planet. Shabbatai is Saturn. Neptune and thing, according to the Zohar and according to the Kabbalah, are not. They have no connection to the sphere. They're dead planets. They'll get there one day. They'll get there. Don't worry about it. Until that time comes, no, Pisces is not Neptune.
They're
When you
saying it's
mentioned
controlled by the
aliens-
Neptune.
No, it's
Pisces.
not. That's already the Goyim says that. The Mazalot are above the planets. They're the 3rd. They control the planets, and above the Mazalot there's a Vilon. That's the first Rakia, curtain, and on top of that there is the next Rakia. And that Rakia controls this Rakia till we have 7 Rakiyas, and then we get only to Yesod Asiya. This is all Malchut Asiya. Okay? So, don't be an astronomer, it makes no difference. You, with one Shema Yisrael, Hashem Echad, you control all those planets. Im lo beriti yomam v'layla, chukot shamayim v'aretz, lo samti. Okay? We'll continue this some other time. It's very deep stuff because he's already getting to how to get Ruach HaKodesh over here. So slowly by slowly, Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. So next time, at the end of Ayin Zayin we are.